Taylor Sheridan is crushing streaming charts, but it can't beat Tom Hardy's crime drama. You ever feel like we're watching a war unfold, but nobody's talking about it? No, I'm not talking about politics or world events. I'm talking about the brutal, behind-the-scenes streaming war where titans like Taylor Sheridan and Tom Hardy are duking it out for control of our screens, our time, and our minds. Now imagine this: you log into Paramount expecting to see Yellowstone or 1923 claiming the throne. I mean, they've ruled the platform for years. But instead, boom, sitting quietly at Phase 1 is Mobline, Tom Hardy's crime drama masterpiece. And the twist? Hardy's dark, gritty world just dethroned not one, not two, but four of Sheridan's global mega hits, and no one's blinking. Wait, how is Mobland doing this? How did a show most people still haven't heard of become the apex predator of the streaming jungle? Stick around, because the answer is buried under secrets Paramount doesn't want you thinking too hard about. The kind of secrets that challenge everything you thought you knew about who really runs TV now. And I'm gonna pull the curtain back just for you. Oh, and before we dive into these forbidden truths, here's your only chance to subscribe to Breakdown Epic, because no one else is breaking down the hidden war for streaming power like we are. You will want to hear what comes next. Let's call this what it is: a power struggle. On one side, Taylor Sheridan, the man behind Yellowstone 1923, Tulsa King, Lioness, and Landman. He's not just writing shows, he's building a television dynasty. Sheridan style, strong men, bigger guns, family legacies soaked in betrayal, oil, and blood. His universe is the cowboy version of Game of Thrones. Everything he touches turns to streaming gold, until now. Because here's the painful truth: all four of Sheridan's flagship shows, Yellowstone 1923, Tulsa King, and Lioness, are trending, but none of them can touch Tom Hardy's Mobland. Not even close. Mobland isn't just winning, it's dominating. It's doing what even Dexter Resurrection couldn't pull off. And this isn't some lucky fluke. Something deeper is happening, and it's scaring Hollywood. Ask yourself, why would the platform promote the usual Sheridan verse, but not scream from the rooftops about Mobland? Why would Paramount Sub be so quiet about their new 51 show? Because Mobland breaks the formula. It's gritty, yes, but it's not glossy. It's not trying to be slick. It's the kind of story that feels almost too real. Like someone ripped out the soul of a dying city, soaked it in bourbon, and handed it to Tom Hardy to bleed all over your screen. And people can't stop watching. Here's what no one's telling you: Mobland wasn't supposed to win. It was designed as a side bet. A lower budget, passion-driven crime series written by Ronan Bennett, the genius behind Top Boy and The Day of the Jackal. And here's where it gets chilling: Bennett doesn't write for entertainment. He writes to expose. His scripts dig into political decay, urban violence, the corruption under capitalism's fingernails. And when you pair that with Tom Hardy, an actor who brings raw menace to every whisper, you don't just get a show, you get a statement. Mobland dares to say what Sheridan's empire never will: this isn't about legacy, this is about survival. And that's what audiences are waking up to. It's not that Sheridan's shows are bad. They're slick, they're cinematic. But they're also safe. They follow a formula. Mobland, it makes you uncomfortable. It forces you to sit with characters you'd cross the street to avoid in real life. And somehow, that truth resonates more than another Dutter-inch brawl. Now let me ask you this: if you had to choose between watching a billionaire cowboy fight over land he already owns, or watching a broken ex-con try to claw his way out of a decaying city, who would you root for? Drop your answer in the comments. Team Sheridan or Team Hardy? Because I want to know who really holds the crown in your eyes. And while you're at it, quick poll. Would you rather live in Yellowstone's Montana or Mobland's gritty underworld? Let me guess, Mobland, right? At least there, you know who your enemies are. There are no backroom deals hiding behind Southern charm, just survival. Oh, and real quick, remember last week's video when we talked about why Netflix let go of their crime drama powerhouse in 2024? Yeah, that decision is starting to look really stupid now that Mobland has proven what people actually want. And hey, I'll be honest with you, I used to be Sheridan ride or die. I even tried wearing a cowboy hat once. It didn't go well. Someone said I looked like a lost rodeo magician. Never again. But deep down, here's why this matters to me, and probably to you too. Mobland represents something personal. It's about fighting back when the world tells you you're done. When society calls you unfixable, unworthy, unimportant, Mobland shows you that survival is resistance. Taylor Sheridan's universe says, power is inherited. Mobland whispers, power is stolen. And I don't know about you, but that second one feels a little closer to the truth most of us live. Last we talked, we were deep in the streaming war of 2025, where Tom Hardy's Mobland knocked Taylor Sheridan's billion-dollar cowboy universe out of Paramount's top spot. Let that sink in. The man who built a media empire on boots, bullets, and brooding fathers just got outgunned by a crime drama so raw, you can feel it breathing down your neck. But here's where it gets even darker. Because Mobland didn't just win, it's about to win again. Mobland Season 2 is already in motion, And everything we're hearing behind closed doors points to something bigger. Something unfiltered. Think the brutality of Top Boy, the philosophy of The Sopranos, and the heart-stopping stakes of Breaking Bad. But with Tom Hardy front and center, looking like he just bit off the world's last shred of hope and lit a cigarette with it. Now you tell me, how does Sheridan even compete with that? Let me show you the trap Mobland laid, and why Sheridan, despite all his shows trending, may already be checkmated. Here's the secret sauce: Mobland didn't flood the platform with spin-offs. It didn't try to create a Mobland universe. No prequels. No legacy characters. No forced romantic subplots written in boardrooms. Instead, Mobland gave us a story that hurts. Characters who don't explain their trauma in monologues. Plotlines that don't tie up neatly. And violence that isn't cool. It's ugly. That's why Mobland is cutting so deep. Because it doesn't try to comfort you. It shows you a world where hope is a weapon and survival is the only currency left. Sheridan's formula. It's clean. Even his grimmiest characters wear nice boots. They have ranches, power, lawyers on speed dial. But Mobland, there's no rescue helicopter coming, no family legacy to inherit, just dirt, betrayal, and the terrifying idea that you might be one wrong turn from that life yourself. And audiences, we're not just watching it, we're feeling it. Mobland Season 2 is now in production, and here's why Sheridan should be sweating. Hardy's Rebecca Falcon arc is expanding. And she's not just a supporting player anymore. Word is, her backstory is going to redefine Mobland's entire power structure. The writing team is doubling down on political corruption. That's right. Season 2 dives into how private security firms and local governments are secretly funding gang activity. Sound familiar? There's a leak, not confirmed, but let's say heavily whispered, that Season 2 opens with the execution of a main character, someone who's been with us since Episode 1. It's gonna hurt, and that's exactly the point. Meanwhile, what's Sheridan prepping? Another season of Landman, a spin-off of Yellowstone called The Madison, and yes, more Tulsa King. But here's the thing, once you've seen enough slow-mo shots of men staring into the horizon while contemplating justice, it kinda stops hitting. Mobland doesn't need horizons. It gives you the alley behind the butcher shop, the handshake with the devil, the phone call you shouldn't have answered. Okay, time for real talk, Sophia style. What do you want from your shows? Do you want the polished, cinematic fantasy of Sheridan, the ranch wars, the oil deals, the leather jackets, or do you crave the raw truth of Mobland, the sweat, the blood, the desperation of characters clawing through broken systems? And tell me why. I read every single one, and next video, we're doing shoutouts to the best takes. Also, do you think Mobland Season 2 will hold that Faye 1 spot once Tulsa King Season 3 drops? That's what Paramount Pho is betting on. But me, I'm not so sure. Because here's something streaming XX hate hearing. The people are no longer loyal to big names. We're loyal to truth. We're loyal to whoever shows us a world that feels real. Now, I won't lie to you, Sheridan's not out of the game yet. The man's got tricks up his dusty, denim-covered sleeve. Let's talk about The Madison, his upcoming spin-off slated for 2026. It's the big one. Rumor says it's darker, more violent, less family drama, more internal decay. Sheridan knows he's losing ground, and The Madison might be his last real shot to reclaim Faye 1. But here's the gamble. If The Madison tries to copy Mobland's tone, it might backfire. Because you can't fake grit. You can't manufacture desperation. Mobland works because it doesn't care about pleasing you. It just tells the story it has to tell. And that's the kind of energy streaming viewers are addicted to now. If The Madison ends up feeling like Mobland, light, it'll vanish faster than Landman's ratings last month. Don't believe me? Go look at the stats, Landman. Sheridan's oil industry drama dropped out of the global top 10 completely. No shade, but that's not how dynasties are supposed to work. Here's the most dangerous idea I've come across in researching this video. It's between two visions of reality. Sheridan's world is about what power looks like. Mobland's world is about what power costs. And deep down we know which one hits harder. You can admire a cowboy, but you'll relate to a broken man doing what he must to survive another day in a city that's eating itself alive. That's why Mobland isn't just a hit, it's a mirror. And some people in Hollywood don't like what it's showing them. So by now, we know Tom Hardy isn't carrying Mobland alone. Behind the gritty dialogue, the moral chaos, the uncomfortable silences, there's a shadowy architect, Ronan Bennett. And here's where it gets almost, forbidden. Because Bennett, he doesn't write fiction. He writes revenge. Most fans don't know this, but before he became one of TV's most subversive minds, Ronan Bennett was wrongfully imprisoned for murder. Yep, that's real. In 1974, he was convicted for a crime he didn't commit during political unrest in Northern Ireland. He spent over a year in prison before the charges were dropped. That kind of injustice, it doesn't fade, it ferments. So now when you watch Mobland, and you feel that simmering anger beneath every line, that desperation wrapped in silence, that's not character writing. That's Bennett's real life bleeding through the script. Sheridan writes about power as destiny. Bennett writes about power as a lie, and that difference, It's why Mobland cuts deeper than anything Sheridan's done yet. Now let's dig into something dark. A whisper from inside the streaming boardrooms. Paramount's doesn't just have two hitmakers, it has two factions. The Sheridan division, big budgets, big stars, glossy American myth making. These are the safe hits. Executives understand them, merchandisers love them, investors feel cozy. The Mobland movement, raw, politically volatile, unpredictable. These are critical hits, loved by fans, feared by brands. And according to some insiders, Paramount is playing both sides on purpose. That's right, Mobland is allowed to exist, for now, as the edgy alternative. It keeps the platform artistically relevant, lets them say, see, we support bold storytelling. But here's the catch, if Mobland Season 2 overshadows the Madison next year, if Tulsa King Season 3 can't dethrone Hardy, Paramount may have to choose. And studios don't like choosing things that don't come with Funko Pop licensing deals. That's why this moment, right now, feels so fragile. Mobland is a revolution that snuck onto a stage built for cowboys and oil barons. And Hollywood doesn't like revolutions. Here's where I want to challenge you, dear viewer. Let's say you're the head of Paramount Floss. You've got two choices: back Sheridan's next cinematic saga, guaranteed money, prestige, and safety. Double down on Mobland, knowing full well it might offend power, disrupt advertisers, and ignite backlash. What do you choose? And while you're there, tell me this: what's one TV show that changed how you see the world? Because Mobland might just be that show for me. Now let me hit you with a theory that I can't shake. What if Hardy and Sheridan are on a collision course? I'm not talking metaphorical, I mean literally. Rumor has it Sheridan has been circling a crime series for 2026. A new project outside the Yellowstone universe. Something darker, something grittier. Why? Because he's watching Mobland eat his empire from the inside, and he knows the cowboy act isn't enough anymore. But here's the danger: Sheridan trying to mimic Mobland is like a politician trying to act poor. It never feels right. Because Hardy, he lives that chaos. He breathes moral decay in every scene. You believe him when he says he's done things he regrets. Sheridan writes characters who sin for legacy. Hardy becomes men who sin to survive. And if they end up launching two rival crime sagas in the same quarter, which is being whispered as a possibility, it could create the biggest streaming showdown since House of the Dragon vs Rings of Power. Who would win? Hardy's authenticity or Sheridan's machine? Here's something the press hasn't caught on to yet: Mobland is infecting other shows. Seriously, check the new wave of crime dramas across platforms. They're grittier. They hold on silence longer. They let pain sit in the room without music cues or exposition. Even Netflix's upcoming noir project, The Hollow City. Insiders say the writers were told to make it feel like Mobland. Mobland isn't just winning, it's changing television from the shadows. And if Paramount realizes that Mobland is doing more for their cultural capital than any spinoff could, they might pivot hard. Imagine this: Sheridan's next season underperforms, Mobland Season 2 explodes. Suddenly, Bennett is given the keys to a full crime anthology universe. That's when Sheridan's position goes from streaming god to legacy creator. Remember earlier when I asked if you'd rather live in Yellowstone's Montana or Mobland's back alley nightmare? Let's revisit that. Because now, with Mobland possibly spawning a Season 2 that's even more unhinged, more political, more violent, the choice isn't between fantasy and grit. It's between a dream you'll never touch and a truth you might be living already. So here's the real question, and maybe the most dangerous one I'll ask all day: did Paramount accidentally make Mobland too powerful? By letting Ronan Bennett and Tom Hardy cook without filters, did they create a show so real, so brutal, so addictive, that it can't be put back in the box? And if Mobland continues to grow, globally, critically, virally, will Paramount have the guts to keep feeding it? Or will they try to quietly bury it under 3 more Yellowstone spin-offs and a cowboy funeral scene? Let's start with the ugliest truth: Mobland was never meant to last. It was supposed to be a limited-run experiment, a creative risk buried behind high-profile Sheridan launches, a quiet drama to diversify Paramount's portfolio. But then something went wrong. It blew up. Mobland caught on like wildfire in a drought-stricken forest, and the higher-ups, they panicked. Suddenly, this raw, bleak, and morally gray show started outperforming 100 million flagship series. Suddenly, audiences wanted real, wanted unfiltered, wanted stories where justice doesn't come riding in on a horse, but bleeds out in a basement. You think corporate execs like that? Not a chance. In fact, we found a leaked email, yes, a real one, from a Paramount's production manager dated late April 2025 that said, Mobland is getting unpredictable press. We need to be careful it doesn't rebrand the platform as too edgy. Too edgy. That's what happens when a show tells the truth too well. Now brace yourself, because here comes the most chilling rumor yet. Tom Hardy might not return for Mobland Season 3. I know. That's like saying Batman might not show up in Gotham. But here's what we've heard from 3 separate industry sources. Hardy is concerned about how the studio is handling the show's future direction. He wants to go darker. The studio Wants to soften season 3. Make it more marketable. Add redemption arcs. Redemption arcs. For a show like Mobland, that's like handing a mob boss a therapy dog and saying, smile more. If Hardy walks, we could be witnessing a creative mutiny. And here's where it gets even crazier. Yes, they already have a contingency plan. Mobland Season 3 is rumored to be anthology style, meaning a new city, new crime syndicate, and possibly a new lead. The name that keeps floating up, Idris Elba. Yeah, I didn't expect that either. But apparently Elba is in early conversations for a gritty character in a Mobland style follow-up based in London's East End, a spiritual sequel. And if that's true, then Mobland isn't just a show anymore. It's a template, a blueprint for how TV can burn the prestige machine down and build something brutal in its place. I'll be honest with you. When I first started watching Mobland, I expected another flashy crime series with cool jackets and brooding men staring at windows. But what I got was a gut punch. This isn't a show where the anti-hero wins. This is a show where you learn what it means to lose everything and keep moving anyway. It's about pain, guilt, the kind that rots in your stomach. It's about how systems chew people up and spit them out. And yeah, Sheridan's world gives you sweeping vistas and gun duels at sunset. But Mobland gives you a man on the floor, bleeding, whispering to a version of himself he doesn't recognize anymore. And somehow, that's more powerful than any explosion. Look, I love Sheridan. The man gave us a Yellowstone universe bigger than Marvel. But let's be real, sometimes I feel like if you took a shot every time a cowboy grunts meaningfully in one of his shows, you'd be unconscious by the second act. And yes, I tried it once. Bad idea. On 10 by 10 don't recommend. So now I'm over here, watching Mobland, clutching my soul while Hardy whispers things like, there are no clean deals, just clean hands holding dirty ones. And I'm like, bro, who hurt you? So answer Ronan Bennett. Let's wrap this up with the ultimate question. If Hardy leaves Mobland, will the show survive? Vote in the comments. Hem Mobland forever if you think the story is bigger than any actor. Or Fun Hardy Eyes Mobland if you believe the show dies without him. And real quick, tell me this. What's a show you used to love, but it went too commercial and lost its soul? Because that's the exact path Mobland might be facing. Unless we, the viewers, say otherwise. Also, let's be honest. If Taylor Sheridan was a meme, he'd be that guy yelling, "You can't steal my land if I kill you first." And Hardy, he's the meme of that quiet dude at the bar who looks like he's seen 5 wars and 7 betrayals, and then just says, "It was Tuesday?" 2 very different energies, same battlefield. So what have we learned? Paramount is living in 2 realities. In one corner, they have the Cowboy King, Sheridan, with prestige, production value, and powerful friends. In the other, a scrappy, unfiltered crime saga about moral rot and quiet desperation, led by a man who once served time for a crime he didn't commit, and another who acts like he's got demons in his DNA, and now they're colliding. But Mobland, it's not just winning, it's exposing the system and systems. They don't like being exposed. So here's my warning, enjoy Mobland while you still can. Because if it keeps rising, if audiences keep choosing truth over tradition, then this little crime drama could become a revolution. Or it could disappear, silently, suddenly, like a hit job. Because when TV tells too much truth, the industry starts looking for silence. Now it's your turn. Drop your Mobland hot take in the comments. Tell me, is this the show that breaks the streaming mold? Or is it doomed to be the one that got away? And remember, only you decide which stories rise. So if you want more secrets, more forbidden truths, more brutal TV breakdowns, then hit subscribe. Because here at Breakdown Epic, we don't do surface level. We dive into the chaos, rip open the narratives, and expose the truths others won't touch. This is Sophia, signing off until the next breakdown. And trust me, we're just getting started. Love always, Sophia from Breakdown Epic.